Film Club.
Thank you very much for joining us for another episode of Film Club here in a quarantine state. I'm one of your hosts, Andy Harrison, and with me, as always, it's Andy Donaldson.
You've never mentioned being quarantined before.
This week, we are here to talk about our first Shaw Brothers film with Clan of the White Lotus.
Oh my god, I'm buzzing we did, because this was class. I loved it. So Clan of the White Lotus is about a priest, a White Lotus priest, who is just badass and doesn't like this group of people, these prisoners, who get out of prison and immediately die. And then the main gaffer's brother, the main prisoner's brother, goes for a story of revenge in 3 parts, which I really enjoyed, by the way. I liked how it wasn't straight away story of revenge, then he either succeeds or fails, then he goes again, and normally they succeed in the revenge stories, but this was like a 3 times attack, and I love that. I love that. All over it. Yeah, so what did you think?
Before I get to that, a little bit of context for everybody. Part of the reason we went to Clan of the White Lotus is because it features Pai Mei. Now, we talked a little bit more about Pai Mei last week, if you want to go and watch last week's episode. But Pai Mei in this film isn't actually Pai Mei. Just before,
I think they refer to him as Back Mei.
This is his brother, supposedly. So Pai Mei had been killed in a film previous to this called Executioners from Shaolin. And the idea is that now this is Pai Mei's twin brother that's turning up, which is why he has the nephew later on in the film.
Right.
So I don't like this, if I'm honest. This is...
Oh, man.
But I want to talk about some of the good stuff first, really, because I think the kung fu here is brilliant. I think
the choreography is class.
The film is structured around its fights. The film is kind of a fight with a small little tether to the next fight, with a tether to the next fight, to the next fight, to the next fight. And what it does is, rather than just repetitiously showing more and more kung fu, it actually is about the evolution of the style, and I think that's really cool.
I feel like that was where the butt was going to come in.
No, I mean, I think the rest of the film is pretty dreadful.
This is directed by Lieh, if I pronounced his name right, who actually plays the White Priest. And I didn't realize at the time that he directed it. I knew that Gordon Liu was the one that fought him, but I didn't actually realize it was the director he was fighting. Obviously, director is also an actor. And it's quite interesting, for many reasons. I think he does. I personally, like I said, I enjoy this. I think he does great. But it's quite interesting seeing his work and then seeing that influence of Lieh and the Shaw Brothers and all that kind of stuff, especially this film in particular, the influence that it has on Tarantino. Constantly going through this thinking, well played, Tarantino's obviously he's a huge kind of nod to this film from Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. Really enjoyed that. I must admit, when coming into this, because I had a English dub, I really tried really hard to look for an English sub. I think this is quite common ground with old school martial arts Cantonese films. As I came through and I had that swooping music coming at the start, all I could think of was Monty Python and Holy Grail. That music, the main theme of Holy Grail, dun, 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 and that was very similar to the intro theme of this film. So I'm there thinking, holy shit, I'm watching Monty Python here. And then the more it comes in, and you have these some dubs are good, some dubs are quite awkward. And you coming in, it's almost like I said, it's got a nice flavour. It's almost kind of comical, but in a nice homely kind of fashion, like something you'd sit down on a daft Sunday evening. I love these kind of Sunday afternoon kind of moments. But Sunday afternoon, you're watching a film with your family, and it's just come on TV, and you're thinking, it's just fucking awesome. I'm into this. It's a cool little story. And yeah, it's I don't know. I enjoyed it. As you can tell, I was a fan, and I want to see more of the Shaw Brothers films.
I think that's, in a similar sense, what you're enjoying from it is exactly what I'm not enjoying from it. The enjoyment from this film is the action. The enjoyment is watching the kung fu, and that's kind of where it starts and where it stops. There's nothing else to take from this.
I've enjoyed the choreography. I enjoyed how the fights almost themselves seem to evolve just as the martial arts did.
So I think the performances are actually really, really good. But I think that those performances are kind of mired in an unfortunate, English dub, like you were mentioning earlier.
Told you before, your kung fu's not good enough.
I'd like my next month's pay. Again? You already got next month's pay in advance.
I'm waiting.
You're still alive. Surprised, huh? Now you, the one to die.
That's the only thing that's holding me back from like going a massive Shaw Brothers fest. If I can't find it in Cantonese, then and like subtitled, I'm gonna be screwed.
One little tidbit before we go, actually, this was actually released as Fists of the White Lotus in America rather than Clan of the White Lotus, as it was here. I'm guessing.
Why do America get different names quite often?
Well, I mean, come on, you can see that one, right? America and a history of clan and white. And like, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to release that film.
Did not even think that there. Good point.
But anyway, there is Clan of the White Lotus. You can let us know in the comments below what you thought of Clan of the White Lotus, or you can hit us up on Twitter, as always. But Andy and I are going back once again next week, where we take a look at another recommendation from Chaka Mon. We're going to take a look at the John Carpenter film, They Live.
Enjoy, guys. See you next week.